City Council meeting at 790 Homestead Boulevard, Homestead, Florida. We're going to call this meeting to order. The invocation will be given by Reverend Bishop, Reverend Bishop, pastor of the House of God of Pentecostal Church. And the Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Councilman Burgess, please. Reverend? Pastor?
Shall we bow our heads? This evening, O wise and eternal God, we come before thy throne of grace with bowed heads and humble submission. Pray thy blessing upon these thy peoples. Pray thy blessing upon our mayor, vice mayor, and the women and men of the community of our commission that is laboring for the city of Homestead, and for the ones that live in Homestead and them that are not present tonight that desire all to be a part of what's going on. We pray that thou will bless it and invite your presence, that you will come into the midst, and that without you we can't do nothing. But you said in all our ways we must acknowledge you, and you will direct our path. Lord, down in your storehouse of wisdom, crown them with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Lord, that every decision that they make, Lord, will be fruitful for this community, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Everybody, please turn and join me in pledging our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Burgess.
Here.
Councilwoman Lobo. Here. Councilman Maldonado. Councilman Shelley.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Present.
Vice Mayor Warman. Here. Mayor Bateman.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to public comments. Public comments, please come forward, state your name, address for the record. Good evening, Mr. Powell.
We did this last month. I announced the kickoff to the Military Affairs Committee annual golf outing. It's in our 42nd year. It's held out at Redlands Country Club. And I want you to know that some of the council and the mayor do have participation in that. We encourage everybody on the council to come join us basically with T signs. And if you'd like me to name who does, I'd be happy to do that. But not everybody, it's not unanimous yet. So we'd like to have everybody participate either with a T sign. And I was going to say, happy to say that we have 3 tournament sponsors. We have Gage Medical, Zuni Transportation, and we have Homestead Chevrolet at $3,500 apiece. That tournament is going to make an all-time high for the 42nd year. Really exciting. And we have a $1,000 sponsorship from someone that you may all know, Commissioner Linda Bell, is doing our lunch. So I do challenge anyone to better that offer, to match it. From $100 up, we encourage sponsorships. Thank you very much.
1001.
1001. And Mayor plays a team. Vice Mayor Waldman.
I'm playing golf.
No, you have a sign. He called your name. Councilman Shelley has a sign, and Councilwoman Lobos.
Right.
So if we get all you together, we'll put you all up in order there and do the city of Homestead.
Oh, I feel sorry for anybody who's on my team.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
This is the official shirt for the year.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I like it.
I like it. Good evening, sir. How quiet it is.
How quiet it is, yes. Well, we can stir it up a little bit right now. I'm Jim Trantham, 2375 Southeast 7th Place. Well, I'm wearing my official shirt. I'm a member of the Education Committee for the last 10 years for the city of Homestead. And we had a meeting here today with Dr. Feldman. And I'm sorry more people couldn't come out. It was an untimely meeting, really, at 12 o'clock noon. How many parents and how many business people can afford to come out at 12 o'clock? But he had really a great presentation on what's going to be done and what is being done in Homestead with the public schools at this time. And it's amazing what's going on. $4 million addition to the Forest City Elementary School. They're going to do work on the West Homestead. They've got great plans for Caribbean Elementary. It's going to be a K-8, and Caribbean Middle School will be changed. Of course, you know we have a brand new school 2 years ago at, it's called, what did we finally name it?
Gateway.
Yeah, it's called Gateway now, that's right. We had a name for it, by the way, and it would have, that name would have brought thousands and thousands of dollars worth of resources, but that got changed politically to Gateway instead of Audubon, and now they're begging for resources. It's very sad in a city like Homestead where we have to have a school that goes on Channel 4 begging for pencils and paper. Really sad. And yet we can afford to build like 4 brand new charter schools within a half a mile of that school. That's amazing. Are we going to be able to speak to the ordinance question on the new school?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor? Okay, I just want to know because I have something to say about that. The East Side residents, of course, are being inundated now with new schools all of a sudden. When it rains, it pours, right? We couldn't get schools down here for 30 years, and all of a sudden now we have 6,000 student stations, and we don't have 6,000 students, by the way. Reminds you of the way we built Homestead, isn't it? We built all these apartment-style condos, and now we can't fill them. And we have all these homes, and we're the slowest growing area now in the county, and still property values are dying, going down every day. And I just wonder if the council is starting to think ahead a little bit and realize that we're getting ready to do the same thing with schools. 6,000 new student stations. By the way, you know, all the new schools are fishing from the same aquarium. There are no new students coming into town. They have to go out into other areas and bring those students in. And once again, that's going to go on the back of the taxpayers and the residents of Homestead to pay for the services that take care of those schools. And I just don't understand why the council doesn't see this, and they take a brand new school that they're talking about putting 1,200 new stations on and looking very carefully at that. I just don't understand it. So I'll speak more to that in a little while. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Thank you for letting us speak this evening. I'm here tonight to let you know, the community know about the Freedom Walk that we have for the last 5 years. And it's with the Veterans of Foreign Wars at Post 4127 and the Ladies Auxiliary hosted the America Supports Your Freedom Walk. The City of Homestead has previously partnered with the VFW to host this event. This year, the 10th anniversary of the tragedy, we will be hosting the reflection of 9/11 and the celebration of freedom along with the Freedom Walk. We would like the support of the City of Homestead again this year. The Freedom Walk is a national tradition that calls on citizens to reflect on the lives that were lost, to remember those who responded, and honor our veterans who have fought for our freedom to hold such walks, and to renew our commitment to freedom and the values of our country. The walk is meant to bring many aspects of the community together to achieve these goals. As this is the 10th anniversary, we are expecting a larger turnout than the previous years. The day will start out with registration for the walk. In the past, we have given participants Freedom Walk t-shirts, and we hope to do so again this year. After registration, there will be a short reflection program which will set the tone for the walk. Everyone is welcome to walk, jog, run, wheel, walk their dogs, kids on tricycles. We have everyone out there. If you can't make it, we also have a van that goes around and picks you up if you can't make it. It's a 1.8-mile walk. We have a designated route. The Celebration of Freedom. The Celebration of Freedom will include a free lunch, music, and presentations. The route of the walk is from the VFW to Campbell Drive, down US 1 to Maui, back up US 1, and to return to the post. After that, we will be asking for, we will have lunch, we have music, we've got a live remote with Thunder Country, then we have a band that's coming also to play. We've got a fire truck demo, we've got the Homestead Police, we've got the Redland Trail Riders coming out. It's going to be a really big turnout, and we're hoping to get the urban search and rescue teams that went to New York to bring them down to present them with a flag. A plaque, sorry.
Sorry.
But, so we are here tonight asking participation, not only from the council members, but everyone here in the audience and in this community, because we need to show everyone that the community can come together for such a good cause. And to remember not only what happened on 9/11, but what is happening today with our soldiers that are still dying out there. So we need to show everyone our support, and we really ask, you know, that you be there. It's on September 11th. I've given everyone pretty much flyers. There's more flyers in the back. It's Sunday. Registration is free, and the reflection, and it starts at 1 o'clock. Then the walk follows that. Then the lunch follows that. Music and dancing follows that. So thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you, ma'am, and it sounds beautiful. For the record, could we have your name and address for the record?
My name is Leilani Wiest, and my address is 12109 Southwest 250th Terrace, Homestead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting us speak.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Mayor Bateman, Vice Mayor Waldman, Councilman Shelley, Councilwoman Villalobos, Councilwoman Burgess. Romero Horta, 2040 Southeast 19th Street. Before I get into what I came to discuss, to address the issue that Jim brought to the attention of council on how we had an influx of condos that we couldn't fill. Coming from the actual banking industry, within the past 2 years, we had an abundance of applications of new first-time home buyers who will eventually fill in those homes. And in time, we will have more residents within the city limits, and of course, places like the Oasis, like the Keys Landing, the Keys Cove, and what have you, will eventually be filled in to its max capacity. But I'm not here to bash the council. I'm actually here to acknowledge the actual council. And in the past 2 years, I have seen some positive changes within council. I wanted to address a couple. Being that I'm a head coach for the Dade County football, Vice Mayor and council, the parents, thank you for the restrooms that they fought so hard to get, and soon enough they'll be starting to utilize them, but they informed me to come and address you, and thank you for that, so thank you. A couple more things. The other thing was the new Gateway Charter High School. I have a niece and a nephew that attends that school, and they're super excited about the new high school because, you know, they love it. So once again, thank you for that. And of course, the utilization of the big pink elephant. Okay, you took a big, you know, monkey off our back, and now you have someone else that's actually maintaining the actual property. But one thing that I really wanted to come and address and thank you guys was for the budget of 2010-2011. 11, where the Homestead had a 31% shortfall in taxes and funds. But no matter how much of a hit Homestead took, Mayor Bateman, you stuck to your guns and your platform, and you said no new taxes, and that's exactly what we got, and we thank you for that. Now, on that vote, it was 4-1, okay, 4 approved, and one person was against it, and that person was John Burgess. Mr. Burgess, I'm just here to address you that with that vote, you disappointed many of your constituents, many of them who actually voted you in. Because with that vote, you acknowledged the fact that the only way to address the budget and to fix it is to actually raise taxes. And that's one thing that disappointed many of your constituents. But I'm not here to debate about that. I'm just here to address John Burgess face to face that I'm announcing my candidacy for C2 for this year. And I'm just here to wish you luck. And of course, I just want to just have one request, that throughout the campaigning, we keep it clean, we come with facts, and we stick to the issues. Okay? Council, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
In a response to my no vote, the reason that I voted no was there were some numbers in there that were presented to us in our budget sessions and our budget workshops that I did not agree with, and I didn't see us meeting those projected numbers. So therefore, I didn't think that we were going to be able to get to that budget and sustain the numbers that we had. It's been a tough year. We haven't gotten to the end of it yet, but it looks like we're going to be very, very close. So perhaps my math didn't work out as well as somebody else's. So therefore, that's why I voted no last year, because I didn't think some of the numbers were going to be obtainable. And I had big concerns, as several other members expressed also during our budget workshop hearings and stuff like that. And I was the one that stuck with what I considered to stick to my guns, and I didn't see us meeting those numbers. Fortunately, it looks like we're going to. So therefore, our budget is going to be good. So that's why I voted no.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burgess. Is there any further public comment? Okay, hearing and seeing no further public comment, we'll close the public comment. And the next item on the agenda for tonight is additions, deletions, deferrals. And it looks like we have one. So I'll entertain a
Mayor,
motion.
in this item, we're waiting for Lale Sports account, so if you wouldn't mind putting it off.
Would you mind if we just go ahead and move it on the agenda, and then I'll move it to a later date in
Sure.
the agenda? Okay. So a motion to move it on. Okay, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Nays? Okay, motion carries. Okay, special presentations. State Representative Ron Saunders, wonderful man. I'll tell you a little about Ron Saunders. Is an attorney and a representative in the Florida House of Representatives. Mr. Saunders is currently the House Majority Leader and will serve in this position until 2012. He received his bachelor's degree from the University of Florida in 1976 and his Juris Doctorate from UF as well in 1979. Ron Saunders is a good friend of mine and a good supporter of Homestead, big supporter of Homestead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and Council. One correction, I'm the Minority Leader. I wish I was a Majority Leader, but...
Majority, sorry.
We're definitely Minority Party here. But, I just basically wanted to come and once again say hello, and I've had a long relationship with you and the Vice Mayor, and I know the other Council folks. And just to tell you that we want to keep the lines of communication open between Homestead and Tallahassee. As you know, our state budget is in pretty bad shape. We've had some tough times funding things we used to like to fund, but certainly we want to look for opportunities to create jobs. I talked to Councilman Burgess, and we've talked about trying to get some tax revenues from the state of Florida to help the racetrack. I've talked to the mayor about some transportation projects. I know Councilman Waldman's always been big on transportation. So anything we can do at the state level to get the money down here to create the jobs, I think we should do. One thing I do want to remind everybody in the audience is that session starts in January this year. Usually we start in March and April. This year it's January, February, because we're going through the once every 10-year process of redistricting. In fact, there's a meeting tonight going on at FIU, and there's one tomorrow in Key West, which I'll be attending. So I would urge everybody to stay in touch with your legislators, because it's the legislature actually will be drawing the new State House, State Senate, and congressional lines, and that could have a big impact on Homestead. Back when I served from 86 to 94, I had a bigger part of Homestead in Florida City, and unfortunately now I go from Key West to Kendall, but I kind of cut around Homestead. I have a little bit of Homestead. So I think it's important for the public particularly to be involved in the redistricting process. If you have any input, please let us know. We have the new amendments 5 and 6 that provide new standards. So we have to be careful about advocating for a particular political party or a person, but we certainly can advocate for an area. And I do think it's important for Homestead to be well represented in Tallahassee. With that, let me stop and see if you have any questions or any input. Since you have an open floor to lobby me, I'll certainly be open ears.
Thank you. Questions from council? Okay. Good job. Good job, yes. And if you don't mind, I'd like to, as I travel through each office at the Tallahassee level, I noticed that the majority of each representative or senator has a seal of the cities that they represent. And so tonight I'd like to present you with a nice seal that you'll take back, hopefully, and hang on the wall. So when I walk in your office, I see
You'll feel right at home then. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Carlos Martinez. Is Carlos here? Carlos Martinez, Public Defender's Office. Carlos is from the Public Defender's Office in the 11th Judicial Circuit, Florida, and is here tonight to familiarize us with some of the projects he's working on, utilization of video depositions in low-level crimes. So Carlos, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Carlos Martinez. I'm public defender for all of Miami-Dade County. Happy to be down south. And actually, the drive down here reminded me why it's important that we're doing this particular project that I want to bring to your attention. One of the projects that we've started in the office is really to start video depositions so that when police officers, and particularly third-degree felonies, which are the lowest level felonies, but they're the largest in number. So it should produce quite a bit of savings. In low-level felonies, we have started a project where now we can do video depositions. So instead of the officers having to drive all the way to downtown, which it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get down here, so I'm sure the round trip is usually about that, rather than the officers having to drive up and then drive back, and the city of Homestead not have the benefit of those officers being here on the street, we are setting up video depositions, and it's very low cost. We're doing it through Skype, so that's free, and the software that we're using as far as the video camera, it's a nicer camera than most, so it's $25, $29, depending on when you get it. And at the police department, you don't actually have to set aside a room for it. It can be on any computer. And in our office, the benefit to us is that the attorney from his or her office with the assistant state attorney present in the room, with a court reporter present, we can take the deposition. So the officer doesn't have to do the drive. So you'll be saving in maintenance costs, police time, particularly having the officer available on the street. We think that that's an important aspect of this. And for all of us in Dade County, it reduces pollution, reduces traffic congestion. I saw the drive, I experienced the drive down here, so I'm sure every day, particularly on the way up, I've had to drive up as well. It's pretty bad. So it helps everyone in terms of being able to do this. And from our perspective, it also helps us prepare for cases more quickly. Because sometimes, for example, if you have an officer that was delayed because they were doing an arrest down here, they may not be able to make it to our deposition on time, so that has to get reset, and that causes delay on cases. With this, a reset doesn't really cause much of a problem because it's quickly done, and we don't have to have the officer driving up. So we hope you support. I've been in conversations with your chief. He's very supportive of the idea. So now we're just at the level of working out the details with the state attorney's office and everybody else and signing the memorandum of understanding, and we're moving forward. This is one of those circumstances in which we're actually doing more with less, and it's a good opportunity. I think it's a win-win for the city and for the public defender's office as well. So thank you for the opportunity to address you and let you know what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, and I like that phrase, more with less. That's great.
We're all facing that, including our own personal budgets.
Questions from council from Mr. Martinez? Yes, Vice Mayor.
I just want to say that's wonderful news.
Yes.
Because I mean, I know that the officers go downtown and it's a half a day or more because they have to wait for the case to come up and go early in case of traffic, and I just think that's wonderful. I wish we could start doing that throughout the city too, a little bit. Although you have to give me notice before I go on Skype. but I just think that's great.
Live in the living room of the Vice Mayor.
No, right? You get 2-hour notice.
From the living room.
But congratulations.
No, thank you.
Chief, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I just want to thank Mr. Martinez, because we've been talking about it. I think he told me in January we talked about it, and he assured me he was going to make it work for the city of Homestead, and we really appreciate that. So thanks again for coming down. And the trip is a little longer going up in the morning, so you came in a good time today. It was easier.
So on the way back, you're promising me it's not going to be that bad?
I can't promise you that.
Yeah, we might have to counting.
But you have to admit, the last toll plaza you went through, it just opened up, didn't it? It was just beautiful, wasn't it? The right and the left, beautiful country, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful down here. Yeah, it is. And I have family not too far from here on the other side of the turnpike. But I think isn't that Florida City? On the other side of the turnpike?
Other side? East? Just east?
Yeah, just
no,
east.
East is, if you came off like Casavana and Publix.
Yeah, that's still Homestead?
Yeah.
So I have family in Homestead.
That's right.
Great. Well, great to be here, and I look forward to working with you on more issues. I brought another issue up to the chief that we're working on right now. We're going to be working with the legislature and trying to reduce the some misdemeanor arrests that are happening that cost a lot of money to prosecute, and they could actually be prosecuted as civil or just regular traffic offenses. That would also keep more police on the street for the more serious cases. So I'll be bringing that up at some point in the future, because we are going to be working with the legislature to file a bill to get that done. And that bill will actually help the police department get some money directly from fines, more so than they're doing right now.
Thank you. It's exciting.
Great. Good to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Mr. Mayor, just for the public, because I know the council's aware of this, but Mr. Martinez is actually the public defender. He is an elected official, is in the court system in a role equal to Catherine Rundle Fernandez. And so it's very nice to see you down here. But I thought the public might not know that this is one of their elected officials.
Thank you for
yes. One of the few that gets elected countywide. So for the public's benefit.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Okay, next item, Art South, Councilman Shelley.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, every 2 months we have new artists that come in and decorate our walls and give us something beautiful to look at during sometimes our very long meetings. And so for the next 2 months of August and September, we have Art South is the program that's put this art on the wall. Art South was founded in June of 2000. After extensive renovations of their building, it opened the doors to the public in April of 2001, and it had a core group at that time of artists of just 10. Today, the number of artists present at Art South has more than tripled, and they've also added an additional school galleries and have ongoing events on a monthly, daily, weekly basis. Art South provides year-round programming that includes art exhibits and cultural performances that are free to the public, and they also provide art education programming for adults and children. And now I'd like to invite Jeanette Medina, who's the Art South Executive Director, to come up and let the public know what Art South does, what programs are available, and also to bring up any artists that might be present so that they can identify their work and maybe give a little information about what inspired them to paint their particular piece.
Good afternoon, Mayor Bateman, Vice Mayor Waldman, rest of the council members. We're very happy to be here. We're honored that we were asked to distribute and show our work here. We have been here before, and all my artists really fight for this one right behind me, because that's the one that gets on the television every time someone's up here, so they like that. I do have a good representative of my artists here, and I'd like to call them all up. And I'd like to put the faces to the artwork. So I'm going to start with Mimi Dixon. Mimi is a watercolor artist who's been at Art South for well over lots of years, since the beginning. She has been one of the pioneers, and her work is the watercolors on the wall, so she may explain a little bit about that.
The first watercolor over there on the wall is a pun, really. It's Birds of Paradise, and you can see a bird, but there's also a paradise, the Bird of Paradise flower in there. And that's typical of South Florida. Another typical South Florida is the poinsettia, and that was a painting I did quite some time ago, and I looked at it and I finally took it out and decided to rework it. And way over to the left of the entry doors is a painting I did about fish. And originally it started out because the South Miami Art, not the South Miami Art Festival, needed a poster. And I did a poster, and then I did a series of paintings. I just want to say that as an artist, we all enjoy performing artists, and they all perform for an audience, and they like an audience. And a visual artist has to perform too, but you don't see the face of the visual artist usually, you just see the work. So we do hope you enjoy the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay. And I would like to have Victoria Morales step up for a moment to, she doesn't really want to speak a lot. She said, don't make me do this, but to at least explain her work, and you can, as Mimi said, put the face to the artist. Victoria's been with us for about 5-6 years. One of our better teachers with the children. She's taught in every children's program we've ever had, and she's turned out some very, very talented young students. So she needs some recognition for that.
Hi, my name is Victoria Morales, and my paintings are the 3 colorful ones in the back. That's actually, it's a series that I did, and I'm actually a surrealist, and I kind of was getting bored with doing surreal work, so I wanted to experiment with abstract figurative art, and I came up with this. Actually, I had a friend pose for me, so those paintings, they're actually one person, and there's 3 more paintings to this collection, so I work oils on canvas, and this is sort of my smallest scale. I really paint really, really large. So you guys got to come to Art South and see our work on second Saturday, and you can get an idea of all the other type of art that I do.
Thank you.
Okay, our next artist is Steve Beck. Steve is an American abstract painter, and he was the curator of the Antique Mall before it closed down, and then he came to Art South. He helps us curate some of our exhibitions also, and he was very responsible, he and Fernando, with bringing this work here, picking it out, and mounting it for us. So, Steve, would you like to come up and say a word? He's gone?
Word.
Okay, I guess he doesn't want to say a word, but Steve's work is this, as he calls it, the abstract. It's over here, these 4 pieces on the wall, and that is, he calls it an American abstract. So, you know, it's all in the eyes of the beholder. I can't explain it, but it's just pleasing to the eye. So, and he snuck out, so that was not nice. Let me see who, okay, well, I guess Fernando Vallejo also is a surrealist painter, and he's been with Art South for a long time. I think he went with Steve, and his painting is the first one over there on the wall by the flags. So that's Fernando. He paints also very large work. He's been with Art South for 8 or 9 years also. And his paintings are becoming well known. All of my artists do go to Wynwood, and they do other venues besides Art South, but their home base is Art South. And I really encourage everyone, because I was figuring out today, we've done 132 second Saturdays since we've been open, and I still have people will come to me telling me they've lived in Homestead for 10 and 12 years and they never knew that Art South was there. So we have invited them 132 times to our home, and so far they seem to not know we're here. So hopefully this here today, and with all the recognition that we are getting from the council and everyone, which we can't be more pleased with. And I think Councilman Shelley also did give the history, so I'm not going to go into that. We did open in the 2000s, so we have been there. And our school education program is growing rapidly, and we couldn't be prouder. We've gotten a Knight Foundation grant. We've gotten some pretty prestigious grants to be able to produce our 2 children from 7 to 15. We're starting our after-school program now in August the 29th. It'll be the 4th year running with that. We just completed a summer camp of 8 weeks that for 8 hours a day the children were there, and they had all different forms of art. So I gave Councilman Shelley a CD of our program. I didn't have enough to, and I know you guys are so busy, you're not going to have time to watch the CD, but I hope he'll watch it and pass it on. I also gave him some pictures of the kids performing on the stage, so maybe, you can just share that. The other thing is there are a few more artists here that I would like to introduce for a moment. Duber is an artist at Art South. He doesn't have anything to say, I can tell. And do you have something to say, Duber? Hello?
Hi. Welcome.
He's been with us for about 3 years now. Heather Collins has been with us. She's one of our newer members. She's about a year now she's been with us. She's an emerging artist, and she is also learning from our other artists, which was a lot of the purpose of Art South, was we weren't really always asking for the really professional, talented artists. We were asking for emerging who needed help so they could have a studio and learn from other artists, and that's been working also very well. Zenaida Moe is my assistant and the education coordinator, and she's just absolutely wonderful. She's been the force behind the education programs that we've been having with all our registrations, and a lot of our programs are given on scholarships, but as you know, things are getting really tight now. So we may be cutting down a little bit on the amount of scholarships, but we still will be giving scholarships to the needy children. We have Marie Gilbert. Marie is our fashion design artist, and as you can see, she just finished that shirt this afternoon. That's our normal Art South shirts, and she took it and made it a whole new thing. So that's about it, and we really thank you so much. And I know I probably forgot to say something, but I do have, I'm sorry, I know what I did. We have one of our board members, Robert Chaplin, is in the audience also, and he is our newest board member. He's also, I believe, the president with the Rotary, and we're very proud to have him on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, if I could just add something to Councilman Shelley's
Please.
presentation, and with his permission. Ms. Jeanette Medina shared this Monday that she is stepping down as Executive Director as of September 16th. And so I know that her family and her community is here, and I want to publicly thank you on behalf of Art South. I know you stepped up 2 years ago to fill in that position, and it's been a great, I've had the pleasure of working with you, and so on behalf of council, and maybe we could do something a little bit more formally, but I did want to say that it was sad news to read that email, but thank you for the past 2 years' service to Art South.
I'm very sad to be leaving. I love Art South, and if I could have, I certainly would have continued on. But I'm sure that there is someone who can step up to the plate, and, you know, they'll do a very good job, I'm sure. All right.
Thank you so much. Next item, we're going to skip one and move to backpack giveaway presentation, Vice Mayor Waldman. We'll come back, she said, right? Yeah. So you want me to go to for you next? Okay. I heard, I read that little email.
I've learned my lesson. Tonight, I'd like to invite Dr. Greer and Zippa Maria Garza to join me, please. I just want to say a quick hello to everyone.
No, they orchestrated it. And even, what's his name?
Dr. Greer represents a non-for-profit agency that provides much-needed services to families in our community. And this year, they held their second annual Back-to-School Jamboree on Saturday, August 6th. I was there. They had vendors providing information on social and health services, as well as bounce houses, live entertainment, and it was loud live. They had food, clothing, back-to-school supplies, all for free. So over 1,000 backpacks were distributed to the children, and about 1,200 people attended this event, double the attendance from previous years. The Mexican American Council, excuse me, in collaboration with the Kids for Kids program, the Miami-Dade County Public Schools Title I Migrant Education Program, and they held their annual backpack distribution at the 2 Homestead Housing Authority centers on Saturday, August 13th. With their partners, they gave away over 500 backpacks, and I may be wrong. You may have given more. But at last count, there was 500 children, all residents of the Southgate Housing Center and the Redland Housing Center families. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilman Shelley, Councilwoman Lobos, and Councilman Burgess to join me, please. And I would like to ask, first of all, Dr. Greer, if you'd like to say a few words. Oh, great.
First, let me just say. First, just Ted Greer, CEO of Fresh Start Family Services, also senior pastor of Ebenezer Community Church. We started this last year. We just had our second year. And the correction I would make is that we had closer to 2,000 people showed up to this event. It was definitely overwhelming. We did not expect such a large turnout. But fortunately, we had great sponsors, great supporters, who have made the day successful. So every child that attended received a backpack and supplies, and every child received something to eat that day. And so we're very pleased with the support of the council. I want to thank Vice Mayor Waldman for her leadership and her support. I want to thank Councilman John Burgess, Lobos, Councilwoman Lobos, and Councilman Shelley for their financial support. We appreciate that very much.
Very petty.
You have something to do.
Meaning that don't ask them out, don't ask them out.
At this time, I'd like to invite Zippa Maria Garza up to say a few words.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Judy Wallman. Good afternoon, Mayor Bateman, council members. How can I begin to say thank you to all of you? what you did on Saturday to pass out 500 book bags to the migrant students. It's a very significant, important thing. I want to have a word to say thank you to all of you, Mayor Bateman, and to the council members, because the youngsters, when they go to school next Monday, they're going to have the working tools to make sure they get the work done. Without you, they would not have done that, and probably would have been dropout statistics. So from all of us in the community, I want to say thank you to all of you.
Can we get a picture together? This would be nice. I'd like to ask Councilman Shelley to stay. Oh, let me just... Oh, Wendy. Oh, Maria one. Oops. Okay, I'd like to ask Councilman Shelley to stay. I just want to say a special thank you to Councilman Shelley. He saw me scurrying around trying to raise money, trying to get money, trying to beg for supplies, trying to do anything in my power to make sure that the kids got the things that they needed. And he stepped out of the box and he contacted Anna Paneke, and together the three of us talked, and he came up with a plan, and I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Shelley, because without him, a lot of this couldn't have happened. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is not my specialty, giving out awards and doing the speaking of those types of things. But I did overhear that we had two local organizations that were in need of money. And at the time, it was unsure whether or not their backpack giveaway was even going to be able to go forward. And that concerned me, that some of these kids may not get the backpacks that they needed. And so I reached out to the local Homestead Rotary Club. I actually had given a guest speaker there a couple weeks back. And they mentioned how they wanted to get more involved in the community. They wanted to get back more to the community than they had in the past. And so it seemed like a perfect fit. So I gave them a call and I said, we have two organizations that are in need of some donation. What can you guys come up with? If anything, at this point, anything's better than nothing. And they met as a board, and the next day I got a call back and said, no problem, we're going to donate $500 to each organization. And that $500 went a long way to both organizations in order to get these backpacks and help these events go on. So I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank them and invite any representatives from Rotary to come up now. I have a plaque here for you guys. The plaque says, "With sincere appreciation to the Rotary Club of Homestead for your generous contributions and support to the citizens of our community." So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And then I'd like to invite, if any of the organizations would like to come up and speak again.
Yes, I remember the night before, the Friday night before our event, we only had 540 backpacks. And as you heard, almost 2,000 people showed up. And so receiving this check from the Rotary made a significant, I was not going to sleep that night, but I slept a little bit better. So I want to thank the Rotary so much, and Fresh Start has this.
If I may, Vice Mayor Wallman, Councilman Shelley, Mayor, and the rest of the council members, on behalf of the Mexican-American Council, we also like to thank the Rotary Club. Thank you for seeing it in your heart to continue providing for the needy children, and Councilman Shelley and the rest of you for thinking of us. That was not possible if this book bag distribution, and many of you that I see around this room have been participants of community projects and certainly book bag distributions, and you know how important it is from beginning to end, the beginning of the school year, like Cipriano just mentioned, these children will embark in a brand new adventure at the beginning of the school year, ready, prepared, armed with the best tools because of your generosity. So thank you so much, all of you, for believing in us, for believing the organizations are worthy of your contributions. God bless you all.
Mayor, am I next with the 4th of July?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't have my agenda. Unfortunately, most of the people who helped on the 4th of July couldn't be here tonight. I do want to say that Gus Portela is here, and where is it, Gus? And thank you, Gus. You help with everything. I mean, you're just wonderful. And but so many people can't be here tonight. So if it's all right with you, Mayor, I'd like to do the presentations at the next council meeting. But just a big thank you for the 4th of July with David Adair. He was fresh on the job, and where is he? He's over there somewhere. Anyway, I hope I didn't scare him to death. We had over 17,000 people at our 4th of July festivities, which was all free to the citizens of Homestead. So, Gus, you don't mind coming back to another meeting? Okay, then we'll do that at the September meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Comes to real work.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Move it, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Okay, motion carries. We're going to move into the public hearing now, quasi-judicial public hearing. We're going to do a swearing-in process.
Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you'd like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff has made their presentation on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish either to be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda package on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for that organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda. At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify in any quasi-judicial item.
Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, if just for a second, swearing-ins, and then we'd like to back up because an item fell under consent agenda that I'd like to hear from Navarro Pharmacy before we get into these quasi-judicial situations, what will take us quite a bit of time. Is Navarro here this evening? Yes, would you come to the microphone, please? Because I think that the job fair that you're putting on is phenomenal. When you come to a community that's in such need of jobs, and then you not only open your business, but you also offer a job fair to hire local people, it does my heart good to hear things like that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Bateman, Vice Mayor Waldman, and members of council. My name is Melanie Mendoza, and I represent Navarro Discount Pharmacies. I am here with Carlos Calan, our Business Development Manager, and we're so pleased to be here this evening. We're very excited that after 50 years in service, we will be opening our very first store in the city of Homestead. We wanted to take this opportunity to thank the city of Homestead, the members of council, City Manager George Kretzes, Dennis, and Ms. Begonia for welcoming us with open arms, helping us with our store and our job and health fair. We are happy to be in a position to expand, and where better to do this here in Homestead and create jobs in your local community. We invite those present here to come to our job fair on September 7th at your community center and help spread the word that Navarro will be here. We are very excited about this relationship with your city, with the people, and we're very excited to create jobs in the city and cater to all your needs. So again, thank you, City of Homestead. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, and good evening.
Thank you so much, too, please.
Well, I think Melanie, good evening, first of all. I think Melanie said it all. We couldn't be any more excited than we are at this time. You know, I heard today here, during the proceedings here, we talked about a tough year in creating jobs, and certainly this was going to be happening between the city of Homestead and Navarro. So we're really excited. Thank you for the time. And Navarro, here we come.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
How many jobs are you going to be creating?
Approximately 15 jobs for our local store.
That'd be great.
And it's one of several stores that I understand you may bring to Homestead.
Correct.
This is one of, at least of a vision of 3.
Of a vision, yes.
Yeah,
That's what we're looking at right now, absolutely.
Yes,
So
we're very, very excited. It had been a long time coming, and we're so happy that it's happening, that it's happening now where the need is actually for jobs, and that we can help in the community, a community that helps us.
Thank you. I know I met with some executives a month back, and you guys were very gracious. It's like, what can we do for your community?
Absolutely.
You know, name some nonprofits that need assistance.
Absolutely. Navarro is different in that we actually cater to the specific community where we're at. We know, we study the area, we see the needs of the people, and we see what can we bring to our store, and not only what can we sell, but what can we bring for the community. What health events can we bring for your community? What nonprofits can we help in your community? Because in essence, these are the people that are helping us stay in business, and these are the people that we're catering to. So we definitely appreciate them, and we want them to know that we're here to help too.
Again, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you for allowing us to back up there. Tab 12, Richard, you want to read the body before we get a motion here? Second reading?
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the development order for the Villages of Homestead Development of Regional Impact, finding that said amendment does not constitute a substantial deviation, providing for severability and an effective date. This is the second reading and public hearing.
Thank you. I entertain a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Staff report.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the ordinance which amends the Villages of Homestead DRI to expand the allowable school acres to 130.58. This would allow the implementation of the site plan for the Somerset Academy Park of Commerce School. This is a 2,000-student K-12 charter school on 9 acres of land, which is part of a about 37-acre campus master plan located at the southwest corner of 328th Street and Park of Commerce Boulevard. As part of the process enabling the development of the first phase of the educational campus, the city must consider a notice of proposed change to the previously approved DRI. The NOPC, as they call it, is required when an applicant is proposing changes to the DRI to determine if the change has created a substantial deviation from the original DRI. We've reviewed this for Phase 1 and 2, and we have no objection to either change. South Florida Regional Planning Council and the Department of Community Affairs have also reviewed it and have no objections. Planning and Zoning Board has unanimously approved this at its June 28th meeting.
Thank you, sir. Questions from council? Hearing no questions from council, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Are there any questions on this item from the public? Would the applicant like to speak? while we have it open? Would anyone like to speak? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. At this time, any final questions from council? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams? Vice Mayor Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 13.
Resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan and preliminary plat approval for Everglades Preparatory Academy Charter School on approximately 10 acres located north of northwest corner of Southwest 120th Street and 157th Avenue. It's legally described as Exhibit A and providing an effective date.
Entertain a motion. Moving on. Okay. Motion second. Second. Okay. Staff report.
Yes, sir. It's staff's recommendation that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution with conditions approving the site plan and tentative plat for the Everglades Preparatory Academy, which would enable the applicant to develop 86,960 square feet charter school consisting of grades 6 through 12, serving approximately 1,228 students. Site amenities of this facility will include about 9,369 square feet of paved courts, another 171,000 square feet of athletic fields, a 39,000 square foot lake. Vehicular facilities will include parking spaces, 307 parking spaces, 1,500, close to 1,600 linear feet of on-site stacking for parent drop-off, 4 bus pickup stations, 3 bus stacking positions. The school will occupy the northern half 10 acres of an 18-acre site with the southern half remaining undeveloped. The property is zoned R1. One family has a land use designation of medium-density residential, both which allow for schools. Over the course of several reviews, we and the applicant have worked out issues related to the building height, its parking, signage, lighting, setbacks, right-of-way vacations, and traffic. And this application was unanimously approved by the Planning and Zoning Board on July 19th.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Council, questions from council? Beautiful. Yes, please.
To staff, I see under one of your recommendations, you have no residential units to be placed within 75 feet of the building, parenthesis, front, parenthesis, which faces the south side of the property. And why is front in quotation marks there?
The front, as it's positioned, is not really a traditional front. It's really almost functionally the side of the building. It's the narrow side of the building, but because the right-of-way on 157th Avenue was vacated, the closest right-of-way is Maury, and so technically the applicant was able to call that the front. The issue there was that front, that building line was too close to the property line. It violated the setback for that. So we were trying to move whatever was built there in the future back so that you maintain that type of setback that the zoning code would require. And that's why we've done that.
And a follow-up, if I could, Mayor.
Sure.
75 feet seems like a very small distance to me as to what they could build away from the school. I guess that would fall okay within what our code says,
Yeah, that matches the intent of our code, so we believe that is appropriate.
but that's just your recommendation. If we wanted to move it further or set back further, we could discuss that amongst ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Because to me, that seems very, very close. And they've got 8 acres left there, or 9 acres. And I'd like to see it a little bit further, just one, for the safety of the children that are in the school, and 2, for the quality of life that the people may end up with, that could possibly end up buying a home or something there, if that's what the future plans go to. So, but that's something we can discuss. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, please.
I've got a question. I know I spoke with Mr. Cordino earlier on this issue, but my concern is capacity. I mean, as far as when do we have too many schools? You know, when can we fill the capacity? Is there any kind of methodology for determining that in a city to see how many student stations we need to service our city? I mean, I guess maybe fill in the blanks for me.
I have no way of telling right now. We just haven't measured that, and being able to collect that data is a relatively intensive process. But that's a concern. I mean, I believe, and I think that from a planning perspective, schools are infrastructure, and that infrastructure needs to be there to serve a need. Now, the need at build-out, the need now, the need 10 years ago, we would have to measure that. It may be a good idea to ask that question of an applicant, like you ask them traffic questions or water and sewer questions, to make sure that there is actually a need for those and have an applicant justify that. Other than that, I mean, I think a methodology for figuring it out would be to look at your population and determine the age of that population and whether, based on that population, the amount of student stations you have in a certain area are adequate or inadequate, or there's an overcapacity. And
have we done any of that type of analysis
no,
yet
sir.
at this point?
We're working on something similar to that based on your request, but haven't completed it yet. It is a detailed analysis, and we want to make sure it's objective as possible and not subjective, so it takes a little thought.
Okay, thanks. And the reason I ask that question is, I'm a little concerned in that, kind of as pointed out by other people, we went from no schools to a lot of schools, and now this will be the 4th high school in the area. And, we have three of our 4 high schools haven't even been built yet. They haven't been occupied. There's been no students that have sat in those seats. And so then to turn around and say, okay, we need a 5th school, a 5th high school within a geographic region, I'm not sold on it. To me, I think that it's all subjective. And so I'm kind of an objective person. I want the facts, the figures, the numbers. I want the analysis done. And based on what my staff is telling me, there's no analysis to give me. There's no facts and figures to give me at this point. So I'm a little concerned about, creating a school bubble, so to speak, because once your product goes into the property, there's no taxes being paid. There's a whole lot of things that I'm concerned about. So that's why I raised that particular question at this time, and I have some additional questions, but I'll wait till further goes through.
I think it's a good point that was brought up at the last meeting. But I think that the consideration and the credit that you give this particular operator is that they have their own feeder pattern. They have their own feeder pattern. It's not like they're coming to Homestead to say, you know what, I'm going to take a little from this school and a little from this school and a little from this school. There's one thing I learned about charter schools, they become a family. And when they start out in the 1st grade, they end up at the end, whatever they offer. And in this case, this is one of our best charter schools in town. And they have a family over there. I don't know how many of you have been over there, how many council people have been to Waterstone, but it's a family. And those kids, they start in 1st. If they stay here in Homestead, they end up there in 8th. So they have no place for their 9th graders to go, who'll become 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders. And I don't think, in this case, you would build or overbuild more than you can provide for your own school. So if it's being built in phases, are you going to lay out the cash to build it all now? God bless you. And you're going to fill it over the next 3 years? I don't know. But I like the concept. If you didn't have a feeder pattern, I'd be standing right behind Councilman Shawley's remarks. But you have your own feeder pattern. You have the right to move your kids right down the line. And I believe that wholeheartedly. The setback issue. Typically, residential setbacks on a big lot is 25 feet. In the rear, 25 feet to the front. On the side, some places are 7.5 feet. Some are 0 lot lines. So how is 75 feet? How do you give a recommendation that that's tight? Is that tight to you? Is 75 feet short?
We looked at the code to try to match what the code said for a side setback, or a front set, or the setback that we're looking at here.
Well, yeah, it's a facade they're creating to make it look like a front, correct?
No, sir. I believe it's just a side. It's not a functional front. It's the narrow side of the building that is on the south side. Well, it's on the south side of the property, separated by the southern half of the property, which is the undeveloped portion, and it's being called the front because they're saying that the closest right-of-way, public right-of-way, is Mallory. People actually will walk in the building from the
I guess my question is a commercial setback 75 feet? Is that where you came up with 75 feet?
No, I came up with the setback of 75 feet from what the zoning code sets
Okay,
for
so
that
the
area.
code reads 75 feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Yes, Ms. Vice.
You know, we had no say in what is now known as Gateway, Dr. Transman's Gateway School. Because the school board, they don't have to ask us for any permission, and Tom and I have had this conversation many times. But I tend to agree that we need as much space as possible in the front, because living in Audubon Village, living in the village of the Homestead, I can tell you that there are serious problems with the bus feeder pattern and the traffic pattern. There's serious problems, and we're all aware of it. We've all heard it from, you know, from all the people that live in the surrounding communities. So I think I would like to see more space, because we need to address that now than later, because we have seen a perfect example of it with the Gateway School, and it's a mess. It is an absolute mess, and there's just nothing we can do about it. We had no say in it, and so that's just the way it is. I do agree with the mayor that you have your own feeder program, and I think that that's going to, I did some basic math, you know, that if you have 7 grades and you have a capacity, what was it, of 12, excuse me, 1228 students, you know, that'd be approximately 187 kids per grade. And I think your Waterstone School is an absolutely magnificent school with I mean, it really is a magnificent school. And you have such a growing community. And I can tell you that as a realtor, those houses are selling in Waterstone. They are selling. And they may not be selling at the prices they sold for 5 years ago, but they are selling. And we're getting new people in those communities all the time. You know, I just have a little concern about that traffic, and I didn't get a chance to ride down there today. I've been down that street many, many times, but I couldn't remember. Is it 4-lane all the way, or isn't there a 2-lane portion?
Excuse me, Thomas David, local opposite 31 North Chrome Avenue, Suite 200, on behalf of the applicant. I have with me Scott Meyer and Damian Thomason, who are professional consultants that can answer additional questions. But if you see on there, essentially the road is 2 lanes up to the edge of the property. And then it turns 1 lane as it goes east from there.
Well, we're going to fix that, right? Because we can't have a 1 lane.
Well, it's 2 lanes in front of this property.
2 lanes.
It's 4 lanes.
Sorry, 4 lanes. 2 sides. 4 lanes. I apologize. I'm not a traffic guy. Yeah, it's divided, and there are 4 lanes running in front of the property. Then it narrows at the property line and turns into 2, one way each, one going each way, right?
Last 7 homes to build.
Is it 1?
Okay. Well, how are we going to? I mean, we can't have. I don't think we can have a 2-lane road. When I say 2-lane. This way, 2 lanes.
Maybe I should ask Scott to explain the traffic patterns.
And have we done
Can
traffic
I make
studies?
just a couple of comments before because we've raised a couple of very important issues. First is on the setback question. We negotiated that we were willing to do that 75 feet. The applicant owns both properties, so you will have another crack at the second property to the extent whenever it's developed for whatever purpose it ultimately is developed. But we chose that property. The building is aligned like that, because that maximizes the distance, the amount of cars you can stack and get off of the main roads. The building, what you would think of as the front of the building, is facing east. And that allows you to bring cars, when you drop kids off, you drop them off on the right side of the car. So it gives you a big, long driveway to drop kids off.
Tom,
so that's why it's set up that way.
Can I, if I may, Mayor,
Sure.
can I interrupt you just for a second?
Sure.
That was supposed to be the plan for the Gateway School.
That's our site plan, I'm telling you.
But that was supposed to be the plan, that they were supposed to drive up, they were supposed to let the kids out. And then you've got all these parents who don't follow the rules, and they get their cars towed, they're constantly parking in the private clubhouse area, and that looks wonderful, but I'm just saying we need to really monitor that. And I'm for the school, I'm just trying to give you my...
This is the backup property in the turnpike, right? So there's another, feet that is, we'll just say Scott, 8 acres here that goes out to,
I know.
the road, and that's because it's long, that's why this was oriented this way.
And the 8 acres you own?
Around here. If the building was oriented this way, you'd have a much worse traffic problem. See, this particular site.
That explains it.
And do you have a handheld mic? And if you have a handheld mic, that'd be great if you could bring that closer to us. Okay, you're going to be Vanna White, Tom.
Hi, I'm Scott Meyer, 3400 Robbins Road, Pompano Beach. I'm with Consilium Atlantic Incorporated. I'm the architect for the project. In reference to the general concept of how the site works, this site has 1,600 linear feet of stacking on site, a dedicated lane for stacking all by itself. In other words, it's completely separated from the rest of the roadway. You enter from the west side of the site and you've got 1,600 linear feet of vehicle stacking in order to ensure that that you do not back out in the roadway, that the parents don't use it improperly. It's a very defined and distinctive circulation system. And this circulation system has been both vetted by the city and the traffic analysis provided to the city. It's also been vetted by the county. The county is absolutely insistent that we comply with their ordinance as well in order to ensure that there's no impact on the local road system, and they're very particular and they're very adamant, and they have basically looked at this and approved this, and I think I guess you can state the stacking is designed to the best understanding of traffic engineering today. So we have 1,600 linear feet when you come on site. We have a separate bus loop that does not interact with the parent drop-off loop. We also have 307 parking spaces on site, and if you look at it, we have a very small driving population. We have more than adequate parking. Basically, the site is designed as a transportation hub. The site is designed to maximize the amount of space and the number of cars we can bring on site and have them stack and drop off at the drop-off lanes. We also sort of have two drop-off positions. Initially, we have a dedicated covered walkway of 100 feet long, but we've also got close to 300 feet of length where parents can come and drop their children and then move out immediately into a bypass lane. You're not trapped. You bring your child to the curb, and once you're able to drop your child off, you can leave unencumbered by the rest of the vehicle stacking on the rest of the site. So stacking, we designed quite a few schools, and I can tell you this facility has excellent stacking, and I can pretty much assure you that this will not impact the local community in any way, that we're able to bring our traffic on site and they will not stack up into the roadway. Also, if you take a look at it, they enter from the west side of the site and come all the way around it. If you were to decide to drop off early, your child would have to walk 600 or 700 feet. It's a long walk to get to the school. It isn't though they pass conveniently in front of the school and then they can, drop off. They have to come in from the west side and loop all the way around again through that 1,600 linear feet of stacking. On the second issue, sort of regarding setbacks, when we designed the facility in compliance with the city's code of ordinance. In other words, the city code of ordinance defines what's the front, what's the back, and what the setback should be. We could have designed the project in a different way, but we chose to take the least setback, in other words, the setback that was smallest, and put it against a piece of property that we owned and we controlled, and so we could manage the development on that property. We have potential new housing development to the east of us, which is already platted with the roadway and utilities put in. We have existing housing to the north of us. And in those two instances, we tried to maintain the maximum setback we could possibly have from what we know and are absolutely positive will be housing at some time either currently or sometime in the future. We technically comply with the site back requirements. We put the smallest one where it's technically correct and adjacent to a piece of property we own and we control. And furthermore, I think we agreed that we would provide a setback over and above what's specifically required by the code. And in addition, we also put a great big landscape buffer full of all sorts of trees and things across the end of that building. So should any development in the future is protected by a relatively substantial landscaping buffer on that side. As to what's the front on the facility, you've got a variety of fronts. When you pass on you enter from the west side, you could claim that's the front. You follow the pathway around past the lake to the building. You could look at the front being from the turnpike, because that's where everybody drives and looks at it. You could look at this front as being the north side because that's where the high school will eventually go, and there will be, if you can see, there's a major, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's a little small. There's a courtyard there and a drop-off that's going to be specifically dedicated to high school kids, or you could also call it the east. So there's a variety of fronts. We have just simply, conformed to the technical criteria in the code. We have tried to set it up so that we have the best ability to mitigate any setback issues. We've set back as far as we possibly can from what we know to be existing residential properties. And finally, we control the property to the south of us. And if there's any concern about the functionality or appearance or impact to that property, we can control that by whatever we choose to design and place there at some time in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about this issue of capacity, because that's obviously there would be no investment into this kind of a product if the market wasn't there. The market studies are rigorous, and I'd like to invite up Mike Strader, who's with Charter School of Waterstone. Would you come up and talk to you a little bit about how this school will function and how it fits into the community? Because we think that's obviously very important. There are existing students that will articulate into this school from Charter School of Waterstone. So, come on.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Mike Strader. My office is at 12524 West Atlantic Boulevard in Coral Springs, Florida. And I'm the president of Charter School Associates. We're the operator of the Charter School at Waterstone. And we'd like to think that we've been a good partner with the city for the 7 years the school's been in existence there. The school has just over 900 students on the waiting list, and there are 1,150 students in grades kindergarten through 8th. And this past May, we had a curriculum fair where we invited our middle school students to the school so that we could discuss the things that were going to take place in the 2011-2012 school year. And Principal Mosa Aguilar had a video presentation for those parents, and there were probably 300 to 400 parents there. And one of the slides in that presentation was one of the renderings that's before you when we were introducing the parents the planned project for this high school. And that elicited the largest applause for the evening, because just like the mayor said, these parents consider themselves to be part of a family, and they want to remain part of that family. Because what we find is that when these students graduate in the 8th grade, many of them are not staying here and attending high school in Homestead. They're going to Robert Morgan, they're going to Ferguson, they're going to Mast over on Biscayne Bay, because the students this school produces are top-notch students, and the parents are sending their children outside of the community to go to other programs. And often the school administration hears from these parents that the reason they're here in Homestead, or the reason that they may leave Homestead, is either because the option of Waterstone exists or because the option of a high school continuation for Waterstone does not exist. So like the gentleman that spoke to you earlier about we're all fishing out of the same aquarium, there's some truth to that. But you fish with bait, and the best bait attracts the most students. And we feel like that we have an excellent program, or we wouldn't have those 900 students on the waiting list interested in the school. Our plan is to make Waterstone a kindergarten through 5th grade school eventually, kindergarten through 6th grade school initially. So we have a rising population of students that would be going into the 9th, going into the 8th, going into the 7th, that consist of about 175 students per grade level. So that's close to 600 students just right off the top leaving Waterstone that would be the first tier of candidates for this school. And just as Mr. Meyer presented to you, that this is a phased program, like the mayor said, because we don't expect to open the door to 1,228 students on day one. We do expect to open the door to some 700, 750 students, believing that the students that leave Waterstone that would occupy this school would fill some 80 to 85% of the available seats for the school going forward. And just to brag on Waterstone a little bit, Waterstone is one of a very few select schools recognized by the Florida Commissioner of Education as a high-performing charter school. That was a recognition established this summer by the Florida legislature for those schools like Waterstone that have maintained A grades for the past several years, that have met adequate yearly progress. And then on top of that, the charter school at Waterstone is a SACS accredited school. That's the kind of program that these parents who are in Homestead want their children to continue to be a part of. Charter schools are choice schools, so this is not taking away resources from the taxpayers because the developer is funding this project. The school simply leases the building from the developer, and it's up to us as operators to market the school and to continue to run a solid school so that those parents who made that decision to enter the school will continue to want to send their children there. I'd like to answer any questions that the council may have. I hope the comments that I made may have addressed some of the early concerns that you may have had.
Council?
Mayor,
Yes.
if I can get an opportunity to speak. In regards to the school, and of course we received a lot of applications recently for a lot of schools, but this site has a future land use designation of medium density residential. So it's not a school, then more houses. And it's like, what are we looking at? Do we want to go in the direction of school, or do we want to go in the direction of more housing? I support the concept of a school there. But to speak to what the Vice Mayor stated, and just being every day I drive down Farm Life Road, I don't think that the traffic impact that we're discussing here at the Dykes is going to be alleviated by anything you do within your acres. I think that the supporting roads just are not there. I know what's going to happen. It's a beautiful road all the way in to drop off your children, but the parents are going to be in a hurry because that road does not go all the way through. Now, if it was open and if it was 4-lane all the way to Kingman Road, then I can see them exiting both on Farm Life Road and Kingman Road to be able to access the Turnpike or wherever it is that they're going for their jobs. And then this is a high school, so what may happen is we're going to have, and I can see it already, and I said, I don't know if anything that we can do within your site is going to alleviate this. Parents dropping the kids off a block away from the school site, which means that we're now again on Farm Life Road. And you know Farm Life Road, that section where we're turning onto Maury Ripe is very narrow. We're going to start stacking cars right near the bridge of the U.S. Turnpike, of the Turnpike, and then we're going to have kids walking on areas that don't even have sidewalks, because sidewalks do not exist in front of that development right next to the church or across in Tennessee Estates. So I think that this is a big problem that this applicant cannot address. A city who is responsible, I guess, would be the question for putting in the infrastructure there as far as sidewalks and opening up the road so that as parents are leaving this site, they have the opportunity of going either Farm Life or Kingman if they want to hop on the Turnpike. Who is responsible for that is my question.
You want that question answered? No? I believe it's going to be...
Not a hypothetical question. I do want to know who is responsible for it.
I can tell you the 4 lanes that exist there now, that particular builder, Southern Homes, built those because he cried all the way to the bank because the city forced him to build not 2 lanes but 4 lanes. And he will be paid back over time as other developers develop across the street from him. The farm road that we're talking about that is 1 lane, either we force this operator to 4-lane it all the way through to 157, 157, 152? 152, and then take back your payments from the developers as they build east of you, pretty much like we did to Southern Homes. Prior to me, it was done to Southern Homes because I listened to it. But Mr. Manager, is there any interest or can you help with Ms. Lobos' question as far as the city being involved in the infrastructure?
The cities are typically involved with the infrastructure development. That's in the growth management world, they have concurrency, and concurrency means that you need to have your infrastructure into place at the time of development. So when a developer comes in and has an impact, they, under the rules, pay their fair share of that impact if they've surpassed a level of service thresholds. That's why you've seen in the past developers come in and build these facilities because they had surpassed the level of service thresholds and needed to put that in place. Typically in Miami-Dade County, on a section-line road, and the county is responsible for it, cities also are responsible for the infrastructure as well. You have jurisdiction over your local roads. They have it over the section lines and half. So actually, they have it over all roads in the county, and unless you get an agreement with them that they don't. If the developer doesn't contribute to the infrastructure that they impact, then the city needs to do that all by itself without the help of the developer. In this case, the applicant has done a traffic impact analysis. The impact analysis shows that they don't have an impact, that they haven't mitigated either through the addition of left turn lanes on Maury or turn lanes at the driveway, which they say they'll do to get the traffic to function correctly. Function correctly. They have a significant stacking on site. Not to say that there won't be operational problems like with any school where you have people dropping off in places that a traffic impact analysis just simply wouldn't pick up. And that's why with the school that's opening in September, we're going to go out and watch it and make those types of work with the applicant to make those adjustments, because they happen all the time. And once you stop and leave, then the problem usually starts up again as you go through that. I hope that answers the question.
Ms. Lovos, 1 second. Ms. Lovos, did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I mean, then the second part of that question is, do we have the funds to make any improvements, something as little as a sidewalk on Farm Life Road?
I think it's important, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, that is, you're basically saying the reports don't require any mitigation.
There is nothing that these guys, they're not negatively impacting the facility that any more mitigation would be needed.
The one thing that's important for the record is that if after we see it operationally and it requires some governmental action, then the city would be responsible, and so that's something you should be aware of.
Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
This is exactly why the school wasn't built on 152nd. I forget the name of it now. Red Apple. It was Red Apple, right?
Right.
And this is exactly why that school wasn't built, because we have to think ahead. We can't think now and then wait for the problem to happen 2 years from now. I agree, Ms. Lovos, you and I are on the same page because we travel that road every day. And in my notes, I had written down, there's no traffic lights. There's no traffic lights leading out onto 162nd. There's no traffic light leading out onto 162nd. And when I said we're going to have to fix that, I wasn't kidding. We are going to have to fix that one-lane road, because I just don't see how that's going to. It's not going to be functional, because you're going to have high school kids driving.
I agree.
And that's another issue. But I'm complete, I don't even know if we should be voting on this tonight, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of questions that I have. And to be honest with you, this was the very first, I opened up my book and I said, what is this? What is the Everglades Preparatory Academy? No one's come to me. No one's talked to me.
We're not allowed to talk to you, Mayor.
Well, no parents have come to me. Nobody has come to me. Nobody has come to me.
Can I just address the...
And you are allowed to talk to me, aren't you? I mean, you can talk to me, and I can declare that I've talked to you. And Tom and I have been friends for years.
I guess I try to keep the rule as close as possible on the quasi-judicial role. But can I just address this question? Because I think,
if I can finish my thought, just for a second. It's just that when I opened my book, and we were out of town last week, and I opened my book on Monday, and I see this right in my face, and Waterstone hasn't come to me. I mean, I haven't talked to the Waterstone school, with all due respect, and I want to help you, but I can't help you without getting all the facts and the information. And tonight, I feel like I'm kind of swimming with knowledge that I need to think about. I need to talk to the citizens around there. I need to find out what their issues are, because let me tell you something, we have had years of people coming to us with problems with Keys Gate Charter School. I think we finally got that fixed. However, we'll soon find out when the school year opens with the new high school. So there's just a lot of issues here, and rather than see something happening negatively, sometimes it's better to get all the kinks worked out and make sure we're all on the same page. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Burgess. Thank you. Tom, if you'd like to go ahead.
Excuse me, I just wanted to say that, for the record, that the traffic study has been done, and there's no impact on the roads the way they're set up currently. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this application had no comments on traffic issues from the traffic study that was done by the applicant or the comments that were made by the analysis. And so it's a little bit of a surprise because we didn't have any of these issues raised at Planning and Zoning. Obviously, we would have addressed them further if we thought that there was a need for it. But we're prepared to cooperate with the city in any way that you think is reasonable, obviously within the limitations of what this property owner can do to try to fix what is essentially an area-wide problem caused by that one-lane road. But we have 4 lanes in front of this property. So parents who are leaving, and there's, by the way, only 75 students in the first phase who are high school, where they will come out and they will go onto that 4-lane road that is right out in front of the property. So anyway, I'm sorry, I apologize. I just wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you. First of all, well, I guess one thing that's missing for all of us is a traffic study, because it's not included in my package. If anybody else has it, let me know. I don't have it. Secondly, one of the first things I ever approached Julio Brea about when I came here 3.5 years ago was, what do we need to do to widen that road? Because Mercedes Homes was obviously not going to build there on East Mowry. It's a hazard. People come at you even though they're not supposed to. They come around the do not enter sign and come at you. And I asked him, I said, is it a liability to the city? Is it, who's what? And he said, well, it's not really even a road. Somehow it got paved through the construction process. The one end is a real road. The other end is still considered a farm road that got paved somehow by somebody. And I think the price you gave me back then was over $3 million for the city to go in and make that road a 4-lane road and hole it out from where it stops to where it goes to 152. And then the other thing is on 152, and I use that road almost every day to come to City Hall, go to the Y, go to Lowe's or whatever. We'd have to add turn lanes up there, and I would see a stoplight at some point, because I don't see the influx of cars trying to get out of there at 8 in the morning or whatever time it would be, and allowing progress to get out of there with the amount of cars that travel north and south on Kingman at this point, and people trying to get back, because the majority of your residents, your students and stuff, would come from the Waterstone area and look for the easiest way back, and that would be the easiest way back for them. And unfortunately, that road is not set up to handle any of that right now, unless they make an illegal left-hand turn and come, or not illegal, but it does say do not enter, or whatever the exact signage is over there, I can't remember. And then for them to get out on the 152 is very tough. I mean, I love the school, and you guys have a great program going there. I just think there's a few and I live over there, so I drive through the traffic. I fought with Keysgate. In fact, I spent an hour and a half out there yesterday morning with their representatives, making sure that things are going to flow there on Monday when we start, or attempt to flow. We know it's going to take a week or so of training of the parents and all that, and getting used to new things. But I think that we've got to work on the exit and the entrance too, because I'm not sold on what is it, 157 being a great entrance into there. I mean, you come from 162, whatever. I'm getting the numbers back right. 162 being a great. I understand you've got a. Yeah, I understand you've got a great, but that's a very narrow road over there that exceeds all numbers already, if I'm not wrong. No. Where you're going to turn off to come in there, correct? There's a long way before this. I understand that.
Doesn't it go 4-lane right there, though, John? Doesn't it go 4-lane?
It narrows down to 2 right there at it.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, Mr. David's comments are not getting picked up by the mic if they're over here.
So, I mean, I just think there's some traffic that maybe the city's on the hook. I'm not sure who. But I think for this project to work, there's got to be a lot of improvements in the road infrastructure. I think the concept is great. You guys have a proven product over there, but I think we've got to improve it. And my area of Keysgate would be impacted by the exit. And Mayor, I know that people that come out of the fairways and travel through the new public school there. I got so many schools on my mind right now. Gateway, get through there. We have a problem at that stop site. stop sign, then they go to the stop light, and then they're going to encounter this, that's not going to have any lightage or signs for people to cross back and forth, depending on which direction they're coming from. So I think we need to really look at the traffic. I understand that their traffic engineer said there is no impact, but as somebody who travels those roads on a daily basis,
Just to correct the record.
and don't have the technical stuff to tell you that there is no impact.
Right,
There
it's
is
also
impact.
the city's analysis that was done also.
I understand that.
Just so we're clear on that. I don't know exactly what you're asking us to try to do here, because
I think
obviously
it's as much to staff as it is to
Yeah.
you that we need to look at this traffic study a little better and
But
really analyze it and make
just for the
sure.
record, we'd be glad to cooperate in terms of trying to direct people out of the, out on onto the 4-lane street and, all those kind of things, which, other schools have been permitted to do here to deal with
No, I understand
temporary
that.
issues. Obviously, it would be great to see that other road widen to 4 lanes. I think that would be great for everybody. I'm frankly a occasional user of that little road there to make across, to get across that spot. So I understand the issue.
The wrong way, you got to go into the.
I understand the issue, and I think it's it's obviously a long-term issue, but from this property's point of view, what we tried to do is to design something that fit very nicely into that spot, and it's not in the same traffic pattern as Keys Gate and all that, so we hope we would, have some distinction in there.
Right.
Obviously what we would like to try to do is keep moving forward and get this thing built as soon as possible and start providing this service to these kids that have been waiting for so long to have this school available to them. So we really appreciate your support tonight.
Mr. Shelley, Mr. Mayor, kind of echo what everyone else has said. When I first looked at this, I think it's a great school. I think it's a great layout. The site plan's not bad as far as what it's self-contained, but I had the 2 concerns. One I've already expressed, which was the capacity, and then the second one I had a concern about was the traffic. I actually went out and drove that area today. I drove down Maori all the way from Kingman to Farm Life, and from Campbell Drive down south, and I had the same concerns, and that is, I don't know that that's the best fit for the school right now. I mean, the location was a problem when I saw it because of that, because you have a 2-lane road going to 4 lanes briefly, back to 2 lanes. You've got Gateway Environmental right there, so you're going to have that traffic that's causing a problem. Then you have the 1-lane road where you go from 4 down to 1 on Maori. There's essentially one way in and one way out into the school, and eventually that's going to get built up. You've got those houses there. It doesn't look right to me. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a mess. I don't know that there's a solution. I think maybe we could try to find a solution, but those are the 2 concerns I had, and nothing that's been said here tonight to address those concerns. So I still have them, and so I couldn't support the school in its current format based on those 2 questions that are outstanding for me. Now, as far as the actual, the quality of the school, the education, the site plan, what it looks like, what you plan to do, I think is great. I don't know that now's the best time to build it, or maybe it's 2 years from now, but based on capacity and then based on our unresolved traffic problems, I just have real concerns, and that's where I sit right now.
Well, we appreciate that comment, Councilman. Obviously, we have a target population that we've identified that will be going to this school immediately. So this question of capacity, the students are there. They're prepared to go to this school. They're on a waiting list. They're prepared to articulate into this.
And I understand that. I've heard that argument. The only thing is that you're basing your analysis on the fact that there are no options right now. That as we sit right now, there is no high school other than Homestead High School and South Dade that these students can go to without leaving Homestead. Now, that's not going to be the case next year, or this year actually, next year, the year after. All these other schools are going to come online. So your analysis that you're saying makes sense today, but it may not make sense next year or the year after. So I hear you, I understand, but I still disagree.
If I can just make one last point on that, and not to be argumentative, but one of the things to sort of digest about charter schools is that they are a little bit like the articulation that happens in the traditional public schools. That is, that schools kind of clump together. They work together as a unit. There are a lot of reasons, and I think Mike could talk about those, of why the students stay in the same system. These students have loyalty, brand loyalty to this system. That's why the school's going in the first place. They wouldn't have even had the chance economically to even be tested were that brand loyalty would not exist. Everybody understands that this happens to be a very strong market right now for this type of product. So we think our students, 2 years means that 2 classes of kids don't get to go to that school. And I understand, I understand what you're saying, but it's a bet that those kids may not make on Keys Gate Charter School or any other school necessarily in the area. They will make a bet on us. They proved it. They signed up for these schools. So on the capacity issue, I think it's, out of fairness, that's the market question that we're answering. And then it's,
Just I think, not to be argumentative myself,
Yeah,
but
that's all right.
what I'm saying is that, that's based on your assumptions and your analysis and what you think might happen and what other people might think happen. It's inferences and things. That's fine. But when you're putting in a school that's going to cause these types of traffic problems, that's going to be this big of a commitment over the long term, I personally need more than just your word or more than just what you think or what the school thinks. I want facts. Show me capacity. Show me other cities that have the same population and have the same number of student stations that you're proposing, and that works out perfectly. Or show me, that's what I want to see. If you provide that to me, then I maybe can get on board. But until then, I can't. I can't just vote on someone's word.
Vice Mayor?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Excuse me. In the planning and zoning minutes, it says that you plan on opening March 2012.
That's correct.
Okay. But then I heard you say something about phases. So are you going to be phasing these grades in, or what is the... Didn't you... I'm sorry, did I...
There is a... It's August 2012.
Oh, okay, because the P&Z minutes say March 2012.
Sorry.
So August 2012?
That's
So
right.
is that completed, 6 through 12, or is that a phase 1?
It's that...
I'm sorry. This is a two-phase project. The initial phase will open with 856 students, and approximately 2 years later, it goes up to full capacity at a 1,226, I think. So
What grades? In other words, you'll have all the grades, 6 through 12, in August 2012? I'm trying to make a point here that maybe there won't be as many kids driving cars, trying to help the situation a little bit, but...
I'm sorry, Mike might be able to answer a little bit better for me, but I think the initial opening is with all grades, correct? Or no, go ahead.
Excuse me.
It's grades 6 through 10th in Phase 1, and then 6th through 11th in the second year of Phase 1, and then when Phase 2 comes on board, it would be 6th through 12th.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was the last part?
When Phase 2 comes on board, then it would expand from 6th through 12th, which enables those students who were with us in 10th in year 1 to continue to go to 12th by year 3.
Okay, so the first phase then would be 6th through 10th, and then the second phase, which would be what date?
Year
6 to 11.
3, so it'd be August of 2014.
2014.
Yes.
And then 2015 for the final phase. Is that correct?
Now,
6 through 12?
Phase 1, August 2012.
Right,
Phase 1 is for 2 school years, August 2012
Right.
and August 2013.
right.
And then Phase 2 would be August 2014.
Okay, but I'm sorry, I wrote down 6 through 11. It's 6 through 12?
6 through 10 in year 1,
Okay,
6 through 11 in year 2,
in year 2?
and then 6 through 12 in year 3.
Okay,
And year 3 begins Phase 2.
so that would be 2014?
14. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, okay, so it would be a gradual increase. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, sure, thank you.
I think we've got some more work to do. There's definitely a traffic issue, and the concerns are very valid. Either you close that farm road before somebody kills himself driving down it with the canal on both sides of it, or one side of it at least, because you're going to entice people to come and go from there. Simple as that. They're going to get frustrated with the backup coming off of 162, and they're going to take a shot at running to 152. So let me finish, because I'm going to wrap this up, so we're going to move on.
Please go ahead.
I think that's for the traffic part of it. I don't understand why we don't have a traffic study in our book. Who did your traffic study? Who did you hire to do the traffic study?
Kimberly Horn and Associates at West Palm Beach.
Okay, and then we reviewed it.
Pardon?
And we reviewed it, the city reviewed it and signed
Staff
off.
reviewed it and county has reviewed it, but I'm not sure why it was not included in your package. We
Okay,
could always submit that to you.
Mr. Manager, we
would
need
be
that.
pleased to do so.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I think that the council they have very valid questions when it comes to the flow of traffic.
Sure.
Not so much getting in and out of your school. And again, I go back to that 4-lane that runs in front of your school. You do have 4 lanes, and you have 4 lanes because the prior council forced Southern Homes to build 4 lanes there.
Right.
They didn't say 2, you're going to build 4, you're not going to build your project. And so then I believe Southern Homes really is the operator who repaved that road, that little 1-lane road. So at least they could get people out going one way, which I think was wrong for the city to allow that. Because to me, you're just asking for an accident to happen, asking for people to try to squeeze off of 152 and shoot going back west. And you're asking for problems, or the other way, whichever way it flows. 'Cause I tell you, I get there and I'm not sure sometimes, but it's a problem. To me, it's a draw for a problem, with especially young kids and their first automobile. So I think we need to work on that. As far as the student impact, it would do my heart wonderful to see that we have so many schools here that finally the classroom size is down to where it should be. Not 30 kids in a class, not 25 kids in a class. Whoopee. So if we had 12 or 15 kids in the class, I say hooray. Hooray Homestead, because you know what? People will start moving to Homestead because the classroom size is small, not huge. So if you're smart enough to do your numbers and spend millions of dollars, you probably got 20, 30 million dollars you're going to spend here, and you've worked the numbers out, I think you've got it down pat. I'm all for you. But I think you need to go back and rework this traffic thing. We need to have a flow going east and west. And we need some sidewalks, we need some, and like I said, it may be part of the city's responsibility. We're going to have a workshop, we're going to find out about it, and we'll look at the traffic study in the meantime.
Well, we would obviously accept the deferral, if you're suggesting we defer it for another month to give us a chance to meet with some of the council members and staff on this issue. We'd be more than pleased to do that. We'll share with our methodology on how they're getting to what the demand is for the school, and we've got to discuss
the demand, it doesn't have to be at the top. You don't have to peek out for me. I mean, if you're going to pay the bills in that building and the cost to build it, if you had 10 kids in the classroom, it wouldn't bother me.
Sure, it's a 40-year project.
Over a long range. I realize what you're saying.
It's a heavy investment made by private investors based on those numbers. They've all done it. The banks have proved it. I mean, this is not...
So council's pleasure, another 30 days?
Yes.
Study?
I'd like it very much.
With the deferral, but could we also get with staff and make sure that our questions and concerns, and we can figure out some dollar values and stuff of improvements that we might think are going to be necessary and we can bring back?
We have several options, which I think now would probably be a good time to get some direction from you on is, are you comfortable with their traffic study, or would you like us to hire somebody to do an additional study, an independent study? We only review their study, and typically that's what we do. We could remain with their consultant and then figure out some doomsday scenarios. If this, that, and the other thing happens, what items would we need to implement and how much would those cost? And then figure out whether you want to have them put money in escrow in the event that those things happen, with some sort of an agreement that if it doesn't happen, that the money goes back to them. Or we can hire an independent consultant to at least verify their findings. You've got an array of options here. Or we can have at the next meeting their consultant to give a presentation. That's a possibility as well. So you have a few things at your disposal here if you'd like.
Mr. Burgess. Yes, I may. I'd be willing to say you could hire 2 more traffic studies, and they're still going to tell you that it works. They're going to tell you that it works. But what this council knows that they don't know is that one-lane farm road. They don't understand that. And every day I see people going to and from. They make it a 2-lane. It's a draw. So something needs to be addressed on that farm road. If we close it, it's probably the easiest. But then you have to deal with the farmer who's got to come and go from it. Maybe you put a gate at both ends, and maybe he has a key and a lock, and he comes and goes from his own farming. Because that's all that's there right now. Or you figure out who ponies up to 4-lane that, or 2-lane that at least, for right now. But if you ride that yourself, Mr. Manager, tomorrow, you're going to see it's very scary. It's a very scary situation.
I think, though, and the city attorney could correct me if I'm wrong, if we impose the improvements on them, absent a rational basis from a traffic study, we may have a difficulty. The escrow approach may be the best approach we have, which is we could impose it on them if the conditions after the fact occur. At least there's some money there, or we could find another consultant that may see the world a little differently than them, that could give us the rational basis to require improvement. So you have some options here. Just
I think the least expensive way is you come together and figure out how we're going to fix the farm roads.
Mr. Mayor.
Be glad to meet with your staff.
Yes, sir.
I think the important thing is, and I heard you say if there's a problem, I think that there is a problem, and I think that these things need to be rectified before this building moves forward, in my eyes. Because that one road, whatever it is, whether we come up with closing that road, or widening, making it wider, or changing their traffic pattern or something around a little bit, but I don't want to see this go forward and have this school open, and then all of a sudden we've got the two-lane road with the problem, and we're a year down the road trying to find the funds or getting their money done, and it opens up during hurricane season, and we're flooded out down there because that road floods and it can't be built, and it's 6, 8, 10 weeks, whatever it takes to get it built, and then you have that problem. So in my eyes, we need to have these problems addressed and corrected before I can see this project move forward. And the project is great, and I've got no problems with the project. The traffic and things like that are what have me on a standstill right now.
Understand.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
Kimberly Horn we've used them. I think we've used them for years and years, and a lot of people use them. I don't know what happened here with this thing, but closing the road, I don't agree with closing the road, because a lot of people from Kingsgate, and I use it myself, I'll just cut down through there. So I don't know if that would be the answer, to close the road, because it's an easy road for people to use. And then to have all the traffic back flush into 162nd with no traffic light there, I just see that as a real nightmare. So I think we just need to sit down, like you say, Tom. Just sit down, let's hash this out, let's try to come up with some solutions. And rather than see it be killed tonight, because I think the concept's beautiful, the school's beautiful, it's just the traffic.
We understand.
Okay? Thank you.
I'll make a motion to refer.
No, second. Okay.
No, that sounds good. Motion to defer, and we got a second on the table. Do we need roll call for this?
Time, date certain.
Time, date certain? Next council meeting, all right?
Is that 30 days, or is that?
It's the next council meeting, which is what
You
date,
can be able
Madam Clerk?
to do that by then?
Yes, sir. We will.
Pardon?
September 21st.
September 21st.
September 21st at 5:30 in the afternoon at City Hall, 790 Homestead Boulevard.
Zip code?
33030. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We appreciate your help.
Thank you. Sir? Sure. Yeah.
Matt Powell, Chair of Planning and Zoning. If you read the minutes from Planning and Zoning, you'll see that 90% of those were by Ed Powell. 3 people that were at that meeting besides myself had no idea what that road was, had never been there. And I wasn't being this portrayed that Planning and Zoning gave them a rubber stamp. And the only reason I voted is because 3 people voted positive. My vote wasn't going to change the outcome, plus you were going to see it. And I said that you think that those people coming in from Kingman aren't going to go back out that way to Kingman? And I also said to Mr. Cordino, is there any impact fees? No, they don't have any. Well, wait a minute. We had a developer pay for that 4-lane road, and they're going to get a free ride? Well, every developer has paid impact fees. I don't see why they get a free ride.
Well, that's a good question, and I don't know if we can take it up now since we closed the...
We could take that up. First of all, the staff heard it, and then I think it should be responded to when we're going to have another hearing on this. It's the next meeting, and that would be the right time.
But if you read the minutes, and plus between the lines, I asked those questions, I brought them up, same concerns that yet you have, and I'm glad that you have those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to get a little more clarity here on the issue whether we're hiring an additional consultant or not, because I don't think we have right now the staff or the traffic consultant that did the initial study. We don't have really the technical basis to say that improvements are required of this applicant. So if we need somebody else to look at it from that direction, I think we need to hire somebody, or
Are you going to spend an additional $7,000 to $10,000 to hear the same thing that this top firm just told us and our staff reviewed? I mean, why go through that process again when I think you should sit down first with them? And what's going to happen is, and the majority, I can hear the council, and they don't want to close the road. So if they don't want to close the road, somebody's going to widen that road, and it's either going to be them or it's going to be us. And the former council did a good job of getting into the tune of $400,000 into Southern Homes' pocket to do 4 lanes there, and said you'll be paid back by each additional property owner once they start building. If you like it, do it. If you don't do it. So I think there are good options if you sit down. If Development Service Director sits down and says, look, we need to move forward with that road. Yes.
And we do have that 87 acres to the east of this site and to the south. I believe it's 87 or 89 acres that's still farmed, that I believe has to pay into it when it's sold or developed. I believe it's under the same thing. And what happened on that property was Mercedes Home came in, never got going, and then the market turned sour on them. Otherwise, that road would be completed by now. So if somebody could look in staff and go back and verify that, but I believe that 87 or 89 acres, I can't remember the exact number, that sit there to the east and to the south of that, and butt up to Kingman, to the north of Northgate and all that. I believe that is in that a bundle of stuff that when and if somebody develops that they are liable for the remainder of the road. So just something maybe staff can look at.
well, and if the direction is you'd like us to figure out how we can require them to do those improvements, I think that would be the springboard of the discussion. But I'm just saying to you that if they say no and we're back here a month from now, we're not going to have a whole lot of technical expertise to prove the arguments that you've made currently. So I think
I guess I'm confused because if you bring another traffic,
they're going to say the same thing.
They're going to walk out there and they're going to run the numbers. They're going to do everything they did and what our staff did to confirm it. The farm road is irrelevant to anybody else, but it's not to us.
Right.
It's not to us. It's irrelevant to another traffic study operation.
Mayor.
I make a suggestion. Perhaps I can sit down with the manager or you all individually and discuss your specific concerns related to traffic, and then go back to our methodology and see if it actually addressed those concerns. Now, perhaps I didn't address those concerns with the farm road in our methodology. We'll go back and make sure that if we've got your concerns on that, we'll tweak their analysis. We'll ask them to go do something different that considers your concerns and evaluate it that way. That ought to get us to a point where you're happy with it. Another thing is that typically an applicant should come in and bring their traffic consultant to actually present the traffic impact analysis. I'll work with them to make sure the next time that their consultant is here to run through it in as great a detail as you want. We looked at it. We made 20 or so comments on it. Refined it back and forth with them, made sure that the traffic, it worked, through their analysis. If I'm missing something that you all want to see, I'll understand that. I'll go back, reform the methodology, and then make sure they come in and present next time, and we'll pick up anything that you all understand from much more local knowledge.
In defense to your review, it's not what you reviewed. It's a concern that we know living here, myself for over 40 years, and looking at that farm road for the last 7 to 10 years, it's dangerous, and it's our job, safety, health, and welfare.
Understanding what you all want to see, then I'll make sure that's baked into the methodology if it wasn't, or at least I'll confirm that it wasn't, or if it was, and then I'll be able to tell you that, and we'll make sure that it addresses your specific concerns.
Okay, Mr.
Mayor?
Yeah, one more quick thing.
I just wanna
I
add
think
one thing.
all these technical traffic studies and all that do great things for those guys. But when they come down here and then somebody drives the road, I fought Keysgate Charter School over the same thing. Their traffic study, I didn't believe it. I went out there the other day, they've got a little bit of a different pattern of what they're going to use now because they went back and took some suggestions. So I'm not saying that. But the problem that I have with traffic studies is those guys don't come down here, they don't live here, they count numbers. Are they counting real numbers? I don't know when they do the count. But 3/4 of the time when I see their studies come back, I have to call. It doesn't work. And I don't know, I don't follow their methodology, I'm not an expert in that. I'm just a citizen and a taxpayer that drives these roads around here and knows that 9 out of 10 times their stuff doesn't work.
Well, typically, what we try to do as staff is work with the applicant to set the methodology. So we don't allow them to come in and give us a methodology for the study. We set it. We try to have an understanding of the local conditions. We specify different types of counts. We look at their study. If their chip generation was funnied up, if their distribution was irregular, we try to make sure that it all meets basic engineering and planning standards. And we try to, there's 101 variables that go into one of these analyses. We try to make sure that the analysis is objective. So,
and I can go back through the growth that this city has seen and probably give you more than 2 handfuls of bad analysis that were okayed by past councils and past councils and past councils that were basing their beliefs on what was given to them in these analyses. So I'm, so that's why I'm a little bit harsh on it tonight.
no, and I understand. I think that you have a valid point. And these things are kind of 50,000 foot analysis because they're looking at roadway capacity in general. They don't deal with the specific operational issues that you see on site after the thing is open because you really can't predict human behavior. Hey, if I don't want to drive 1,000 feet back into the property because I can't get out, I can't tell how, no analysis can really pick up the number of drivers that's going to do that. So with your knowledge on what you want to see in the methodology, we'll make sure it's in there and double check this thing so it's, at least and then present it to you so you understand it as best you can.
And then the one other concern that I have left is that they're using today's numbers. And I would have to say that side of town is maybe at 60% occupancy with all the foreclosures and stuff. Maybe a little better, 75, 80, whatever the number is. So we're missing a lot of count, I think, over there also. So just my thoughts. I'll leave it at that. We've deferred it, but those
Thank
are
you.
things that I think we need to make sure we look at.
Mayor, thank you. I just want to add one other thing to the city manager's question. I need to understand these improvements and the options that we have in numbers, so that if your staff is prepared to present us with the option of closing the road, of paving the road, can you also present the cost of what it would be?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, let's move on to tab 14. Richard Weiss.
An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City of Homestead Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2 Administration, Chapter 11 Emergency Management, Chapter 17 Miscellaneous Offenses to address firearm regulations preempted by state law, providing severability, inclusion in the code, conflicts, and an effective date. This is the second reading and public hearing.
Motion? Thank you. Second? Thank you. Staff?
As you remember, this was an ordinance that we prepared in reaction to legislation passed at the last session, which preempts local governments from firearm regulations and provides some pretty strict penalties.
Takes it out of our hands. Okay. Questions from council? Okay, hearing none. Questions from the audience? Okay, hearing none. Close the public hearing, and at this time, final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 15.
It's a discussion of art in public places ordinance.
Motion, move it on.
I'll move it.
Okay, thank you. Second. Thank you. Staff report?
Okay, this is put on as a discussion item, although you certainly reserve the right to approve the proposal or in part or as a whole, or something completely different. Now, the mayor and council requested at the 8/9/2011 Committee of the Whole meeting that staff bring this item forward for further discussion to make recommendations regarding the fees charged to applicants. Recommendations include change applicability from $750,000 to $1 million for both commercial and residential, change the in lieu of public art fee from 1% to 0.5%, change the in lieu of not to exceed from $500,000 to $100,000, change the donation fee from 1% to 0.5%, change the placement of art on-site fee from 1.25% to 0.5%, change the placement of art on-site not to exceed from $500,000 to $100,000. If art is not to be placed on-site, the developer will have 9 months, replacing 6 months to gain approval for the art. After the certificate of occupancy, the developer will be given 9 months, replacing 6 months to install the art. The threshold for applicability has been increased by 25%, the public art fee has been cut in half, and the not-to-exceed price has been lowered by 80%. $20 million project would generate $100,000.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Council, questions? Hearing no questions from council, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing no questions from the public, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Hearing no questions from council, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Lobo?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 16, downtown drainage improvement. Entertain a motion to move it on.
Move it.
Second.
Thank you. Staff report.
Mayor, in 2005, CDBG Disaster Recovery Initiative Round 2 awarded the city $784,736 for drainage improvements. The grant expires December 15, 2011. Stormwater Master Plan identified the downtown area as prone to heavy flooding and therefore a top priority for our community. This project will promote and preserve the historic character of the downtown district, surrounding properties, residents, and the business community. The successful completion of this project will greatly benefit low to moderate income residents and protect and enable small business to stay open by minimizing flooding in the potential area. The project consists of approximately 3,750 linear feet of exfiltration trenches designed to handle floodwaters, thereby mitigating impacts associated with storm events. Staff recommends the Mayor and Council approve and award bid number 2001-24 for the improvements of the downtown drainage system to the lowest, most responsive bidder, FHP Tectonics Corp. The total project cost is $512,695 and is funded by a CDBG grant.
Council, questions? Mr. Manager, you said December 2011? Completion?
December 15, 2011.
It is, okay. Okay. December 15. And where are we at? Is that okay, Julio? We'll make that?
That should be fine. There shouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay. All right. Any questions from council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woolman?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobo?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right. Did I miss anything?
We have a little delay item.
Delays here now? Okay.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing a single, non-recurring exemption to the restrictions placed on the use of the Homestead Motorsports Complex, enumerated the lease agreement between the city and the Lay Sports at the City of Homestead, providing for implementation and an effective date.
I'll move it.
Okay. Mr. Manager, you want to explain a little bit about this used car lot that was brought up at the last meeting?
Sure.
By Councilman Burgess?
Basically, we had the agreement that was signed by both parties didn't contemplate this usage that was advertised by them for September 24th, 25th event. Because of the way they presented this to us, we thought you should at least hear what their plan is to see if you're comfortable granting this extension, this exception to the agreement.
Any questions from council?
Mayor, if I could just make a comment.
Correct. Go ahead.
I asked them if we were getting money per car that they sold. But no, this showed up in our mail last month, or last week at the meeting, and nobody really understood what the scope of the undertaking was that they were doing out there. And the way it's been explained to me, and I'm sure their representative will back that up, is it's bringing local businesses, the local Chevrolet dealer, the local Ford dealer, the local Honda dealer, the local Toyota dealer, out there and give them an opportunity to reach beyond where they are at now. So I think it's going to be a plus for local businesses. Residents that are looking for cars are supposedly going to have great deals and all that. So I think it's going to be a plus over there. I've spoken to several people from our side, from the east side of town there that are around there, and they don't see it being a problem. So I just wanted to put that out there and say that I will be backing this tonight now that I fully understand the scope of what they're trying to do.
Okay, any other questions from council? All in favor?
No questions, but I would actually like to hear the representative tell me what they're going to be doing so that I can...
I don't think she wants to talk.
No, but at the same time, I want to make sure I have them on the record so that they don't do something other than what they've said.
Good evening, council members. Alexis Fernandez from the Lally Sports Complex. In reality, it's just an auto show, pretty much an expo, and we're, like they said, it's going to be different auto dealers presenting their vehicles, and it's pretty much to get people to come to the actual stadium, take a look at it, and drive traffic. That's pretty much what it is.
No, I love it. You're showcasing your venue at the same time, giving local auto dealers a chance to, showcase theirs. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think it was a smart move, and you got my support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Madam Clerk? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call. Any nays? Okay. Motion passes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
City Attorney? Any questions, City Attorney? No, sir. Mr. Manager? Anything? No, sir. Councilman Briggs?
Thank you, Mayor. Like I stated when we were talking about traffic earlier, myself, Sergeant Tommy Sermon from the Homestead Police Department, and Mr. Julio Brea went out yesterday and spoke with Keysgate Charter High School and Elementary School, the whole package out there, about their opening on Monday, and just making sure that some of residents' concerns and all that were taken care of. I think it was very informative. Sergeant Sermon was going to take back. They're going to have 3 police officers and about 8 teachers working, so I think it's going to help out tremendously out there. Of course, it's going to take a week or 2 to get the parents lined up and understand what they can and can't do. They're going to have a staggered start and a staggered departure times for the different school campuses. I think they've got a good plan. Hopefully we can get everything fine-tuned so it works flawlessly, as we all would hope. Sergeant Sermon's taken the plans back so that all the police officers are going to be out there on Monday. We'll have a little bit of a heads up and a little bit of knowledge of what they're doing instead of just showing up on Monday. So I applaud the chief for putting them out there and letting them spend some time with me yesterday to make sure that this is going to be handled correctly for the city. And I understand that the manager and his staff are going to be out there monitoring it also on Monday to see what improvements are made. So I just wanted to pass along that they are trying to step forward and make sure things are done correctly out there. And like I said, we had a meeting yesterday, and any concerns that anybody gets, they will address it immediately. So I just wanted to relay that to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Shelley?
Nothing at this time.
Councilman Williams?
Yes. Just want to remind the community we have a Southwest Advisory Board meeting tomorrow at Vicar Williams Community Center at 5:30 starting. And also, just to remind everybody, August 24th, Mayor Carlos Gimenez will be here at the Community Center for presenting his budget for the county on August 24th at 6:30. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Libos?
Mayor, I don't have anything at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Wallman?
Yes, because it's the end of summer, I have quite a few things to announce. First of all, we had this past Saturday, August 13th, we had, I'm sorry, my glasses broke about halfway through this meeting, so I apologize. We had an Adopt a Tree event hosted by Miami-Dade County, and that was held at Harris Field, and that was a huge success. We were out of town, but Dennis, I know it was a huge success. I know people that got trees there, so thank you very much. And the Jake Conley Memorial Football League started their practices this past Monday, August 15th, and registration is in progress as we speak. Opening ceremony will be on September 10th. The Homestead Youth Baseball League at J.D. Red Park begins August 22nd, and the new Homestead Little League registration at Harris Field begins August 29th. Mayor Roscoe Warren Park opening day is September 17th, and we're planning a really nice begonia, and Anna and I will be meeting with Dennis and his staff to plan a beautiful opening day. Whitcup Park is underway and it's on schedule, right, Dennis? I always like that confirmation. The community center, we have lots of programs at the community center. Everything is moving along beautifully. We're trying to incorporate the Zumba classes, and that'll be a sight to see when we all go and show up there to do our Zumba. And yesterday I had a great meeting with Lale regarding our Halloween event. And as you know, last year we had it at the minor league clubhouse, and we no longer own the minor league clubhouse anymore. So, and we had over 4,000 people in the pouring down rain. So we didn't know what we were going to do. And Lale came to the table, and David, again, I thank you, Mr. Event Planner. He sat with me yesterday with the entire team, and I think we got a really good plan. It's just in the progress of starting, but it'll be the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Halloween is on Monday this year. So it'll be those days, I think, if it gets David's stamp of approval. But it'll be so much fun. It's going to be huge, and it's going to be the best haunted house. I know we had a good haunted house last year, but it's going to be huge. It's going to be fantastic. And I think we'll draw probably as many as 8,000 people, 6,000 to 8,000 people to this event. And also, Mayor, you'll be proud to know that the skate park equipment has been sold, and I saw them picking it up the other day when I went by there. Are they finished, Dennis, or do you know?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, they did pick up the big part, and what they're doing is working with a trucking company with flatbeds so they can just load it up with forklifts, so they should be back hopefully soon.
I had a question on that because I know the money came out of forfeiture funds to buy the skate park equipment, and I wondered, the $8,000 that we sold it for, I wondered if that would go back into the forfeiture fund.
That's exactly where it goes back to.
Good. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you. I just want to point out that once again, our local agricultural community stepped forward, and I want to thank Dennis Maytan for picking up the 1,500 pounds of fertilizer they donated to fertilize all of our trees during this rainy season. It's worth several $1,000s. They donated it. And Dennis, thank you for getting it on during these last couple days of serious rain, a week of rain. Just a quick note, and I'm going to have a good account, but over 900 new business licenses since this council has taken office in 2009, over 900 business licenses. So we're going to get a nice breakdown spreadsheet of where they came from and who they are, and I'll have that for you hopefully by next meeting. I'd like to, just before we close, ask Alex Andrickson to come up and just, under my business, just introduce yourself, if you will. I know you ran late and you wanted to come up under public comments, but to be fair to everyone else.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. My name's Alex Andrickson, 338 Northeast 30th Avenue, Homestead, Florida. Just like to say thank you for the opportunity of being here. I look forward to just being involved with the community on another level. Currently the president of Windward Homeowners Association in Oasis, and I also sit on the East Homestead CDD, Community Development District, and I'd like to say that there's been a lot of improvements in the area. Love to see the growth that's going on, especially with the charter school. They're no longer here, but I wanted to congratulate Mr. Strader, because I did see that letter from July 15th from the Department of Education, where they're doing a phenomenal job, and they've been recognized for that. So I'd like to say that, just to have the opportunity right now, that Farm Life Road is an issue, regardless if there's a school or not. It needs to be addressed, as all of the council made comments regarding that. But we definitely like to see the support from the council and the mayor and vice mayor to have them basically grow and support them with their charter high school projects as well. So I also would like to say being involved in the community. As I said earlier, I'd like to take it to the next level, and I'd like to state that I'm going to throw my hat into the race for the Oasis seat, seat 6, for the upcoming election in November. That's it. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And that brings a question, speaking of Oasis. Madam Clerk, do we have it confirmed that that will be a precinct, a polling precinct? Wow. I think we need to try to reach out and work on that even a little tougher, Richard, because you're asking Oasis to go into a gated community that's pretty adamant about who comes and goes to vote. They're going to come from Oasis to drive to Waterstone to vote. So if you can help us in any way, I appreciate you reaching out to the people that you know in the county and see what you can do.
I'll do it.
Okay? All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn? Second. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, stop it.